very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us on the Thursday edition of the show. Me, Adebayo. Well, tonight on the show, well, the World Cup officially has started. And of course, indeed, after a very colorful opening ceremony as we speak, Mexico and South Africa currently slugging it out, reminiscent of what happened 16 years ago in South Africa. Remember, that same game was the opening game for the 2010 World Cup, as it is for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Will the outcome still be a one-all draw? We'll see. All right. We'll also be talking about things happening here on the domestic scene. We'll talk about Bayelsa United in the news. We will talk about all of that. And of course, Gianni Infantino has been struggling to give explanation to some of the things that has happened, especially on the US side of the World Cup. We'll cover all the angles, all for you on the show tonight. Let me quickly introduce our partner in the Lagos studio. He joins us this lovely Thursday evening. Bolu Omodi joins us now as we take a trip across the money-spinning world of sport. Bolu, greetings to you. Thanks for finding time to be with us on the show.
Good evening, good to be again. And for many Nigerians, the hate watch has been successful for the first half of the game. Beautiful game of football. Mexico showing why they are host. South Africa a bit jittery, but it's the start of the World Cup. Obviously, the game they will build momentum over time. And like I've said a million times, too many drama leading to the World Cup. But when the games itself start, we will definitely enjoy ourselves. Maybe the American games may be like COVID, almost empty stadiums, but we watching from home will definitely get to enjoy ourselves. All
right, my colleague Austin Okonakpan is ready now. And of course, bring him in before we go straight into the World Cup segment.
What a greetings to you, Yemi, and of course, everyone joining us on the show tonight. The action-packed auto sports. The World Cup has come. Yes, it's finally upon us. And Mexico, they're giving their fans, supporters, followers of football in that country a good reason to celebrate after going into the break. With a 1-0 lead over South Africa. So much has been said about the World Cup, and I'm glad that it is here.
All right, we are glad. That's it. We're into that segment where all we're going to be doing is to talk about the World Cup. I believe before we yield back to Austin, the issue on the front burner, especially with regards to this World Cup, has been the issues happening on the US side. There's been little, next to nothing, no hassles from Canada, from Mexico. But the story about Omar Atan, the story about Iran having to get in and get out to play their World Cup matches, the issue of overpricing of tickets, and Infantino, on the eve of the World Cup, had to sit in front of the world press to justify. And he said something that is making a lot of us question a few things. And he said, he admits that FIFA is not totally in control.
Well, the truth is, I'm not a big fan of Infantino, especially what he's done in the last few years, trying to overrule, extend some and shut down some, like he did for us in Africa. People say it was Motsepe, but we knew where the talk to extend AFCON to 4 years came from. And for this one, at the end of the day, the bulk of the blame stops at the table of FIFA, because I want to believe for you to be the host of any tournament, there has to be some things that you would know, you would do. Russia, like we know, are a very cold country. But when they hosted the World Cup, I wasn't in Russia, but I know lots of people that went there. And the things they said, even if it was a forced way to accommodate people, you have to. I've heard the explanations and reasons. I said to myself, oh, okay, you can't tell them how to do immigration. How come they were selective about how they did their immigration? Why didn't they hassle Ronaldo when he landed? Why didn't they hassle Argentina and every other country? Why was this Senegal? Then the referee, the US official statement was even more silly than what they did. He's linked with terrorist organization.
Paul, we'll get to all of that, because like us, we'll usually say, and all of us will say, all of those things was before what we have on screen. But the moment this happens, we all forget about those issues. And of course, Shakira and of course Nigeria's Afrobeat legend were on stage, thrilled the crowd. It was interesting. And Austin, I don't know if if this is enough for us to forget those issues look big. But the colorful opening ceremony, Shakira Burna Boy on stage, as it is now, does it shift us away from all the issues?
No, it doesn't. It cannot hear me. We'll talk about the football. We love the opening ceremony. We'll talk about it. Shout out to Burna Boy and Davido for, representing Nigeria big time. And see, Davido even used his platform to ask the government to deal with the issues of insecurity. He wore a shirt, his jacket said, "Bring them home." He said, talking about the girls that were abducted in Oyo State, and he wrote all of their names. Tells you that squad has got the soft power, to turn things around, to transform lives, to, make this world a better place. The football looks beautiful. We'll talk about it, but we cannot forget what has happened with Omar Atan. And UEFA, in a very good way, played a lovely propaganda game by saying, "Guy, we love you. Come and officiate the UEFA Super Cup. PSG versus Aston Villa." Tells you that the world is watching. You cannot just misbehave in the name of, where the football starts. We're going to forget. No, we love the opening ceremony. It was colorful, it was beautiful. I was monitoring the game, Mexico versus South Africa, beautiful also. But a problem is a problem until it's solved. Let's bring in Bada Kintunde Johnson. Bada is a big football fan, friend of the house. Bada, it's good to have you join us on Sports Tonight.
Hi guys, hi Austin, Yemi. It's fantastic to be a part of the show tonight, especially sitting a few meters from the venue of the final of the World Cup at the MetLife. I'm in New York. The game is sat right between New York and New Jersey. I hope to be at the Morocco-Brazil game on Saturday, and see France and Senegal also at the same venue on Tuesday. So I'm in great World Cup spirit already. Of course, haven't been in this country a little over a week now. I'm not oblivious of the challenges that you guys speak about, and I definitely do have my perspective on them.
You know what you did? My first question to you was going to be, Bada, are you feeling the World Cup? I said, shut up, Austin. Shut up.
I'm right in the middle of I'm right.
I'm the only said the guy's not far from the MetLife Stadium. The guys get to go and watch. I said, shut up, Austin. Bada, let's get into the conversation. The World Cup is here. So far, everything that you've seen, are you excited?
I think there are varying levels of excitement. First off, the context being that soccer is, as it's called here, is not the number one sport in this country. So with the World Cup start coinciding with the NBA playoffs, which is a national, especially the Knicks finding themselves in the final for the very first time in over five decades, that's, from a sports standpoint, has sort of overshadowed the FIFA World Cup build-up, without a doubt. Before I came into New York, last week I was in Boston, which is also one of the venues for the World Cup, and you could barely see or hear anything World Cup related, even with the fact that the teams in the NBA finals, and none of them is from Boston. There was more talk, more conversation around the NBA final playoffs than about the World Cup. Maybe you'll get a little bit of banter here and there from people who are from traditional football countries like myself, like South Africans. Like last year, I was sitting a lot in the same space with Sipiwe Shabalala, the guy who scored the first goal at the World Cup in South Africa in 2010 against Mexico. And so we got into World Cup conversations, but the Americans really are not catching the fever. Maybe when the games, especially tomorrow when they play their opening game against Paraguay, maybe that would kick things into life a little bit. But without a doubt, the NBA, the NFL are ahead of the Football World Cup in terms of conversations among sport fans. There is no denying that. It's across the country. From
Absolutely. And America, they know how to build a brand and sustain the brand. So they've got the NFL, they've got the NBA, they've got baseball. So look, as long as there's some sort of revenue going around those brands that I've mentioned, World Cup is the World Cup. They will do their own, I'll pause you, but I'll come back to you. Bolu Omoni, no Nigeria at this World Cup. I wanted to support South Africa in this game against Mexico, and then I said, wait a minute, South Africans might accuse me now that I want to steal their job of supporting their team and probably steal their joy. But what's the bant about Nigeria, South Africa right there in Lagos?
Well, the only person I've heard that supported South Africa so far is Zero. Everyone is really seriously hate watching. You need to see celebrations on different groups. When Mexico scored their opening goal, it means the different reasons why Nigerians are not supporting hate watching them is first, they are part of the reasons Nigeria didn't qualify for the World Cup. Then the xenophobia thing, and people are, in fact, someone wrote justice 1, xenophobia 0. That's how much hate what Nigerians are doing for them. So I've not heard one person show their love for South Africa to win this game. It's all about, many Nigerians are telling you for today, their name is Alejandro. Their name for today is Marquez and the like. So it means everyone is totally for Mexico. Well, incidentally, I'm part of the everyone going all the way for Mexico to win this game.
All right. Of course, we're not allowed to show, we're allowed to wear a mask and not show our face on this. So I'm not going to say anything about South Africa, but let's see how it goes. But of course, still talking about this World Cup, the man facing the storm, Gianni Infantino, he's had to explain a lot of things. Let's listen to him explain why he thinks that FIFA don't have all the cards and should not receive all the blames.
Of course there are challenges. Of course it's not easy. I don't know who else would have been able to ensure that in these circumstances, which we cannot influence, obviously, in these circumstances, Iran could come and play. And to reiterate that the starting price is at $60, that the market, everything I said before, the market is here what it is, that if you sell it at a lower price point, and again, this has been part of intense and extensive analysis in this particular market, it would have gone, which is perfectly legal in this country, in secondary markets at much, much, much higher prices. And where would the money go then? Well, to those who organize secondary market or black market activities, and not to football. So every dollar that comes in goes back into the development of football. We have one competition every 4 years that generates revenues. A great relationship with President Trump. I'm very happy about that. I got to know him during his first mandate, and we have been working very closely together now in his second term. Without his engagement and his involvement, I think it would have been impossible, simply, as simple as that, it would have been impossible to organize a World Cup in the United States. He understood immediately the magnitude of the World Cup, the impact of the World Cup.
There's a lot to take from what Gianni Infantino said. And before we begin to take bits and pieces and give our perspective, I also want to listen to him again, talking about the Somali referee, because those are the issues we want to talk about. Omar Atan, his defense, his explanation for what has happened. I mean, just to backtrack a little to say that he received a hero's welcome in Mogadishu. The people rallied behind him. In spite of all the issues in Somalia, they were able to rally behind their own. But where is Gianni Infantino giving his own explanation and saying what happened was unfortunate?
As well, what happened to Omar, the referee from Somalia. But again, we don't control everything. We try, we will discuss, we will speak, we will see. Maybe sometimes it's good as well to just, chill, relax. We work on everything. We try to solve everything. Sometimes to immediately start screaming and shouting has the opposite effect of finding a solution. Believe me when I tell you, or don't believe me if you don't want. We try always to find solutions. Always. But then we need to respect that we are not the kings of the world who can rule over governments and police forces and I don't know what. We are a sports organization. We try to do our best with the means that we have to make as much as possible.
All right, welcome back. Bolu, I need a quick response from before I yield back to Austin and possibly get Bada's thoughts as well. You juxtapose, a lot of people have started saying, oh, look at Russia, some of their laws, they had to relax it. But here, it looks like FIFA is the one bending over backwards. And there are even talks about sponsors not getting mileage. But everything he has said, do those explanations suffice?
Well, first of all, the hate watch is becoming successful. South Africa has been reduced to 10. SVR decides to overturn that decision. The truth is, what he literally just told us now is the host can decide to play whatever pranks they want to. The next host, Spain, Portugal, and Morocco can decide, oh, okay, I think Brazil are our biggest opposition. Oh, let's reject one or two of them and cook up something and say this is the reason why. Because I understand the referees needed to get to either Miami or California to gather, but why did you? Because you can't enter America. You have 26 games in Mexico and Canada. Why not add him to one of those? Some people say, but he's not good. This is an exceptional situation. They are not allowing him, despite having a diplomatic passport. Then send him to Mexico and he's well trained. He's a referee, he's the best in Africa by the recent judgment. But he's trying to just, everything is trying to sweet talk Donald Trump and continue to be on his goose. I remember the controversy after the Peace Prize. So literally everything. Trump is not the only president hosting this World Cup. We also have games in Mexico. We have games in Canada. But others are not even saying it. The truth is, this may just set a poor precedent. Everyone can now start to use tactics because they say we can't control. We know you can't. But I want to believe there should be some certain criteria to before hosting any tournament. You should be able to relax this. Look at what Morocco did the last AFCON. Oh, for people coming in for the AFCON, your visa starts before the tournament and ends immediately after. If that's what you want because you don't want people to come into your country, no problem. For the host nation, because people want to watch, people want to try. It's not all of us that want to come to your country and run away, but he has said it is this, there's nothing they can do. I understand, but I hope when it happens again in another country, he will say the same thing.
All right, let me just yield to Austin and just to reiterate what Bolu said. South Africans have gotten the red card, so they're playing with a player down and a goal down, so we see what happens. But Austin, I mean, this is no disrespect to the U.S. president. Very, very unpredictable, we all know. Do you think some other things will fall out of the heart? I mean, you don't know what to expect with the U.S. president.
Yeah, but he needs to respect the rules of the game. He needs to respect the values of football. He needs to understand that football has got the power to, unite the world, not to use it to divide or cause more problems. We don't want to see more problems because a friend of mine was just telling me, we're talking about diplomacy, sports, soft power to change this world. And he said, just imagine if anything goes wrong with Iranian players in America. It's just no, let's not even imagine it, So I just hope that at the end of the day, football will be the winner. We'll have good things to come and talk about this World Cup, actually making this world a better place. But in 1 minute, before we go on a quick break, you listen to Gianni Infantino. He said they don't control everything. Do you understand what he was trying to talk about?
Absolutely. I understand it. I may not agree with it, but I would need more than 1 minute to explain it.
We'll come back. Yeah.
Yeah, but there can be no excuse for some of the things that have happened, but Infantino's hands are tied. The moment the World Cup hosting rights were awarded to America and the Republicans won at the last general elections in America, these things were always going to happen. But we can unpack properly after the break, maybe.
That's it. Just stay right there. Hold that thought. You need to tell me what you know that Infantino knows that he's not telling us. Sports Tonight on Channels Television. Let's go on this quick break. Now, when we come back, more updates from the World Cup. What does Infantino know that he's not telling us? We'll tell you. Don't go anywhere. Stay.
Africa is rising, and we are rising with her. Every day there's a new story, a new challenge, a new discovery. and a new victory. For 30 minutes, Monday through Friday, we bring these to you from Abuja to Accra and from Nairobi to Addis. Network Africa connects the dots, giving you a full picture and bringing the continent closer to you. Network Africa, weekdays at 4:30 p.m, only on Channels Television.
Welcome back, Sports Tonight, on your award-winning sports-loving Channels Television. The World Cup 2026 is upon us. Yes, Mexico taking on South Africa. South Africa, they're struggling. They go down, and they've also lost one player. As Fefelo Sitole has been shown a red card by Kingsley Johnson. He's right there in New York. He's so close to where the final game will go down. But I was trying to let us understand all of the political shenanigans, the Ulubalus, that FIFA president, the Krikunkanku, that FIFA president Gianni Infantino was trying to say. But I'll let you, conclude on that thought.
Okay, so first off, let's be clear that if this wasn't the FIFA World Cup, if it was the Olympic Games or any other international event, they would have had exactly the same problem. And Bolu referenced Morocco and a few other countries that have hosted international tournaments recently. But please, can you tell me which one of them is in this moment bombing another country? As at yesterday, the American military were still bombing Iran. And so the security of the United States is the #1 priority of Donald Trump and the American authorities. So they may be overdoing it, but it is no surprise that a referee who was crowned the best on the African continent was said to have had some ties to some terrorist groups, and they wouldn't come out in the press to say it if it weren't so. And I'm not saying that he's guilty. Ties could be as simple as just innocently exchanging text messages with someone on football matters, and that person's character might be in question. And for that reason, the American authorities decide they're not going to take chances. Do I agree with it? No. But do I understand it? Of course. America is at war. America is perpetually at war. There's not too many countries. He also mentioned Russia. Please remind me how many countries Russia has been involved in. Well, you could say Ukraine, but that's even a war that's got American imprints and fingerprints all over it, because the bone of contention really was Ukraine allowing America to set up military bases so close to Russia. So America is in a space where, yes, they want to host the world at the FIFA tournament, but they also know that that can open up a gap for infiltration and for some people who don't like America to do something that may not only hurt America but hurt some of the people that are coming through, and put America's name in bad light. So yes, I mean, it's having an impact. Their heightened security apparatus and all these things that they are doing is having an impact on the World Cup in terms of first shifting attention from the football itself, shifting attention from the things that we like to talk about to the things that we rather not be talking about. But the truth is, you can't separate sport from society. You and I know how since the Republicans came in January last year, there's been a raft of changes in the immigration policy. I know quite a number of journalists who ordinarily should be at the World Cup from different countries who cannot make it down just because America says no. And it's not because they've had any links or any communication with members of terrorist groups or anything. America has just sort of raised the bar to almost unreasonable levels for people to fulfill the requirements to come into the American borders, or come through to the American borders. So yes, Mexico and Canada could have allowed the referee to come over, but the way these things work is that if America flags you as a security risk, trust me, no other country is going to take you. That's how it works. It's almost like you fail the test by stringent authority from a security standpoint. So nobody wants to expose themselves to a security risk, because if indeed anything goes wrong, the question then becomes, if America said he had question marks, who told that you could say he did it. Again, these countries who are co-hosting with America are doing so because not only are they geographically close to America, in terms of political and social affiliations and affinity. So you can say they are cousins to America. So they're not going to, in public, go against the Americans and make America look
absolutely
bad.
But
So,
I completely understand what you're saying. Bottom line, if America should sneeze, all those other guys,
the world catches cold.
They'll catch cold. I agree. Let's get back to the football. Tomorrow there will be more football. Saturday, more football. Sunday, a lot of football.
Yeah, and the timing, you might have to stay up to watch some of those matches if you're in this part of the world. Let me just quickly go across, show our viewers what to expect. Of course, Asian powerhouse South Korea will be up against Czech Republic. That is a game going to be played tomorrow, but in the early hours, 3 a.m. here in Nigeria. South Korea will take on Czech Republic. Canada, coast, will take on Bosnia Herzegovina at 8 p.m. That's going to be tomorrow, so we'll see what happens in that game. These are fixtures from Group A on Friday. Group D, United States will take on Paraguay. That's on Saturday. Qatar will take on Switzerland. And then Group C, Brazil will take on Morocco. This is a game that a lot of people will want to see. Of course, African giants and South American giants, to see what happens in that one. All right, still some other matches to look up to. Haiti will take on Scotland. That's on Sunday. Early hours on Sunday. Australia will take on Turkey, and that's in Group D. Germany will take on Curacao at 6 p.m. Same day. The Netherlands will take on the Blue Samurai of Japan. That game, it's 9 p.m. A lot of interesting matches. 48-team tournament. Of course, this is the first time we're having 48 teams, so it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. Bolu, a lot to pick from. But let's go about Brazil. Let's start Brazil. What do you think is going to happen when they take to the field?
Well, for this game, that's match almost everyone who wants to put attention on. For the games we have, at least in this round, like Bada rightly said, is going to be at the venue. The truth is, the big factor for Brazil national team at this tournament is the Ancelotti factor. Many didn't give them a chance based on the players they have, form and everything. But there's a certain man who's one of the greatest to do the job. Talking about Don Carlo Ancelotti, that's the key figure. But the conundrum now is Neymar, if he's fit. Should Neymar start? Should Neymar come in from the bench? Well, how will Neymar fit into the squad? There's the young Vinicius Junior, there's young Hendrick, there's Rafinha on the other side, many young talents. At the same time, when you have a Neymar, if he doesn't play and you don't win, you are in trouble. So the big questions going through the mind of the manager will be, how would you go out with your lineup for this fixture? And of course, for Morocco, well, I think I can call them African champions. Based on what we know from CAF, they are the champions of Africa. They have lots of quality players who are playing for top clubs across board in Europe, and their goalkeeper, of course, one of the best, if not the best, in the business. So it's definitely going to be an exciting game. The last time both of them met in a friendly, Morocco won. Yes, in the group stage when they both met years ago in the World Cup, it was all about Brazil. But that Brazil and that Morocco is completely different from now. So it's going to be a game to look out for. Brazil, any day, anytime, any tournament, any World Cup, they're always among the favorites without any doubt. But this time around, I'm not sure they will hold that tag. Maybe you can call them contenders, or who knows? Someone earlier today called them pretenders.
Okay. All right. Let me just quickly ask about this. Just came across my mind. Unfortunately, you can't talk about Brazil without talking about Neymar. I mean, whichever way you want to look at it. But there's been this question before. People are trying to look at Don Carlo, as he mentioned. Carlo Ancelotti defended his exclusion and say, look, it's not just window dressing. We are putting him because it can change the game. So, but I want to get your thoughts. Do you think Neymar in that Brazil squad merits a starting place, and do you think he is still a game changer as we know him to be?
Well, Neymar is in the Brazilian team for the exact same reason Ronaldo is in the Portugal team, and he's a starter. So, I mean, what that tells us is Roberto Martinez's position, Carlo Ancelotti's position, they aren't quite dissimilar from the position of Gianni Infantino in a lot of ways. Because if it was down to pure footballing reasons, Martinez will start someone else up top for Portugal at this World Cup. We saw Ronaldo yesterday, clearly past his prime, clearly not the Ronaldo that we've always known. Maybe we know that he should be a bit part player, in the same way that Brazilians know that Neymar is not exactly what he was 4 years, 8 years ago, and should probably come off the bench as an impact player. But if he's fit enough, he'll probably start, because it's the golden boy of Brazilian football. And there's a lot of talk about this last dance, in quotes, for both the personalities, some of the greatest footballers that have ever played football, both Neymar and Ronaldo. Oh, the last dance, the last dance. And no manager wants to go down in history as the person who prevented these guys from having that last dance. Posterity might not forgive them. So they're treading quite carefully. They know what to do from a footballing standpoint. If Neymar is past fit, he will start and maybe play till he can't sort of cope with the physical demands of the game anymore. And yeah, whether the team is enhanced as a result or suffers as a result, we will have to wait to see. But the manager has got to put a lot of emotional intelligence on show versus pure raw logic. When it comes to sensitive matters, sensitive issues like this. These are people who have such huge cult following that they can determine the national sentiment that is felt across the geographical borders and the diaspora of these respective countries that we're talking about, Portugal and Brazil. So yeah, Neymar is obviously not at the footballing force that he used to be. He's lost a yard of pace. I mean, of course, he's gone back, and we saw in bits and pieces, in flashes, some of those magic that he used to conjure before, but not at the same level of intensity and regularity as before. And based on that, he should not be starting. But don't be surprised if the Brazilian team files out against Morocco on Saturday, and Neymar Jr. is one of the 11 that Carlo Ancelotti picks to start the game.
I won't be surprised, because you need those sort of big name players to cause some level of disruption. Before they even come out, the media, would have been saying so much that can be of benefit to Brazil. On Sunday, the Netherlands will take on Japan. That's a tricky football game. Let's listen to some of the talking points ahead of that match.
Memphis had some injuries, and he didn't play the last few weeks, but he is back, and every day more he's closer to his 100% fitness. And if the fitness is at that quality, that we know, because he's our top scorer in the country, in the nation, and we need him if we like to do it on a good way this tournament. We need all the players, but of course we need Memphis Depay as well. About the injuries, maybe you saw Bart Verbrugge, the goalkeeper, was not involved in the training. We have to wait, but we think he can reach the match for Sunday, but day by day we have to wait for that.
The condition is going to be for every team the same, and you have to adapt quickly. You have to also adapt in games at times as well, in the way you go about managing the game. But yeah, I just hope that all the pitches are going to be as good as today, for example, in training, because I think that was a bit of a worry in last year with the Club World Cup. So let's see. Other than that, we have to be ready. We will be ready, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so that's it. Looking forward to that big game, the Netherlands versus Japan. I think that should be all for the World Cup segment now. Yeah. Welcome back, Sports Tonight, on your award-winning sports-loving channels, television. I'm looking at the game between Mexico and South Africa. It has gone from bad to worse because Raul Jimenez has doubled the lead for the hosts, so it's now Mexico 2, South Africa 0. Yemi, was there a big, loud noise in Lagos when Raul Jimenez goal went in?
I mean, I didn't hear any, but trust me, I can imagine. I can imagine. And the signs were there. Once the red card got in, and no disrespect to Bafana, you have to do better than that on the world stage. I wasn't impressed with what I saw. Aside the fact that they denied the Super Eagles, which may be the reason for some of the 8, but even as an African, and I'll give you a quick example. As a young kid in 1990, Cameroon stopped us from going to the World Cup. But I supported Cameroon because of the way they played. It didn't matter that they defeated us because they gave Africa quality representation. I mean,
absolutely.
9 against 11 with Argentina, they still won. But with what I saw with South Africa tonight, I just hope our numbers will not go down with this performance. But let's quickly talk about yesterday's friendly, and also talk about things happening here in Nigeria. Bula, I want to quickly get your thoughts. Bada referenced it. They were talking about Cristiano Ronaldo, but let's talk about our team. A lot of people feel that with the recent friendlies we've played, that there are bright prospects for the national team.
First off, congratulations to Alex. He will be the 4th centurion for Nigeria after Musa, Yobo, and Vincent Nyama. I've had different conversations about the friendly. First off, people need to understand that Portugal were trying out something ahead of the World Cup, probably what they are going to do at the World Cup. So they dominated us and everything. We're not even expected. We don't have the midfield quality to dominate them. But performances, you could see that the future is bright. I've said it a million times. Anytime a top nation like Nigeria fails to qualify for a major tournament, some players should be moved aside. And what we've seen in these 4 friendly matches, because even the Unity Cup to me is a friendly, what we've seen in those games means there are some talents that should be infused step by step into the team. For example, by 2030 World Cup, Osimhen will be 31. He may still be maybe not at his best, but he may still be banging in the goals. And strikers, that's the only thing I want. Score the goals. But indeed, he will be 34. Many of these guys will not be at their peak. Some of them probably will be retired by then. Exactly. So these games are the ones we need to start seeing. For example, what this Femi Azeez did at the Unity Cup against the lesser oppositions, yes, but if we are lost, we won't think about them as lesser opposition. So the future somewhat is bright. The gameplay is not bad. We are performing well. We are scoring goals. The only game we scored 1 goal was the match against Portugal yesterday. All other matches were 2+ goals. So the future is bright for Nigeria. But for how long? Remember, the top guys did not play those games. If Osimhen come, you have to be a crazy manager not to play Osimhen when you have him. And Ademola Lookman was not in the score. So when these boys come back, there has to be a way to infuse them together. The experience plus the new boys. The performance I've seen in the last 4 games were encouraging that, okay, the future is bright. But again, they were friendly games. When the qualifiers start in September, we want to see those things you've done, those things you've practiced, those things you've learned in those friendly matches. We want to see them in the qualifiers. And believe me, I say it all the time, Nigerians love Super Eagles. It's only when they are losing, I not send them. But when they start winning, we saw it at the last 2 AFCON. That's when you know Nigerians love the Super Eagles. So I hope those things, when it's time to show forth in practical games and qualifiers, they bring them to the party.
All right, let's get Bada's thoughts on that as well. Probably his parting shot because we're pressed for time. Any positives from yesterday's game and a few friendlies down the line? And do you agree that some players should probably be shown the exit door? I mean, I don't mean it to be harsh, but with the reality of time.
Oh yeah, the last 4 games have obviously shown what we've always known about Nigerian football, which is that we have a preponderance of fantastic talent spread across the world, which not many teams can say, particularly South Africa, which is one of the reasons why they're struggling so bad in a context that they're not used to. So Mamelodi Sundowns may be playing CAF Champions League matches and winning them, but when you are in the opening game of a FIFA World Cup at a stadium sitting over 80,000 people who are mostly baying for blood, you have to draw on experience from playing UEFA Champions League matches in similar environments for you to be able to play, which is what our own superstars have in abundance. And based on that point, I don't think that age should be the reason why we face players out of the team. Guillermo Ochoa, the goalkeeper for Mexico, for instance, is at the World Cup. In fact, when I saw him I almost screamed, even though I knew he was going to come again. I thought it was going to be a substitute goalkeeper. But if he's still proving himself to be the best between the sticks in Mexico, why shouldn't he start? If indeed he's still our best holding midfielder, why shouldn't he play? Even if there are younger players coming through, we've got to be very, very strategic in the way that we integrate them gradually. Akko Adams has proven to us from this sort of games that if we don't have Osimhen, we really don't have to lose sleep. But Akko plays for Sevilla. He plays in top European context, week in, week out. Bolu referenced Femi Aziz the other day. He plays for Millwall. If you put him in front of 50, 60,000 people, I'm not sure he's as comfortable as he was at the Unity Cup, where there were barely 10,000 people in the stadium, and which is similar to the kind of environments that he plays for Millwall. So we've got to be cautious in the way that we phase out players and bring in players, which is one of the things that sort of concern me with the regularity for Eric Schell's experiments. Yes, in the last year or so, there's still a lot of players that we've blooded that we've not really given the chance to play, and we keep giving this 1-2 games to people that may not have the pathway to go on and become fixtures in the team. So there's got to be a point where you kind of like put a stop to the experiment, look at the pool that you've been able to pull together from those matches over the last 18 months, and then find ways to integrate them into the team. The way Ademola Lookman plays for us now is not how we used to play in his first 5 games. So if you don't give players a long enough run in the team, you may not necessarily give yourself the opportunity and the benefit of seeing their full potential. If you keep chopping and changing, you never get the full benefit of the process. So for me, it's yes, if you've identified 10, 12 players over the last 10 experiments that we've done, why don't you just focus on how to integrate those into the main team, and let's see how those players and the main guys carry us into the near future.
I agree with you 100%, because when I saw the starting lineup against Portugal, I'm like, why are you making 5 changes? Well, we're trying to see some consistency. We're trying to see if those guys that built some level of momentum can actually continue. But you see, this is, you never just understand coaching. We were all dancing and singing over Abdullah Bewene. And you put him on the bench to try Christian Akpan that's never played with that defense line. So I really don't know what he wants to get out of that. But Coach Eric Schell has explained that he's bringing new players because he wants a new mentality in the team. But I agree with you 100%. You cannot be building and then you get into a particular level. You say, no, I don't think I want to make it a 7-story building. Let's make it 5. Come down. And you cut, chop. That doesn't do you any good. But Bada, before I let you go, until you 1 minute, were you pleased with that 2-1 defeat to Portugal?
Yeah, I saw things that pleased me. I think Maduka Okoye for me has to be number 1 for Nigeria, and he has to play consistently. That for me was a takeout from that game. Great saves following up from his performance against Poland. I saw a few players that we've always known about their capacity. Akko Adams, for instance. He was phenomenal in that game. I thought he made the Portuguese defense know that he was there, and he got a very good goal. But in midfield as well, I thought there were some decent showings. And when you go up against João Neves and Vitinha, arguably the best central midfield duo in the world, having won back Champions League titles for PSG, I thought Ndidi showed why he must continue to be a part of the team.
Absolutely.
The leadership was clear for us.
Absolutely. Ada, thank you so much for your time. We need to bring you back, give you some more time to talk football on the show. Thank you so much. I don't know what we could do in 1 minute, or if we should just say goodbye.
Well, let's just quickly talk about Bayelsa United. Probably get Bolu's thoughts before we get to leave the studio. Bayelsa United, the governor Duri, just made it clear that, look, we're dissolving. He said, I told you guys, just for you now to know that it was not a threat. And whatever is in your custody, return it. We are bringing in new players, we're bringing new coaches. It came to me as a bit of a surprise. I don't know.
For every good thing Bayelsa have done with sports, I think this one is a dent on it. So that means when you come next season again, the same thing happen. You keep dissolving teams. This part of the problem we talk about when we say government-run club. If it's a team where you know, it's a purely business. That's not a business decision. That's an emotional decision. So again, if it happens like this every year, you keep dissolving the team every year now. Dissolving an entire
But should you not demand accountability?
Yes, that should be from the coach, from everyone. For example, there were terms that if United get relegated, certain percentage will be docked from the players' money. There should be things that not dissolving an entire team. If you are making money, is
management, coaching, everybody.
If there's contract, maybe after 3 years, and you are dissolving an entire team, and you have to pay people 10, 20, 30 million, you will have to think it twice. But again, he's made his decision. Let's see whether if they follow through, and the new people they'll bring, maybe they will help them get back to the top and maybe even win.
All right, let's just quickly listen to the governor in his own words. All right, we close the show listening to the governor, but before that, Austin, we have to go. That's why the cookie crumbles. Maybe we'll be able to do that. Talk about this extensively some other time, but we have to go.
We can jump on it tomorrow, but I understand where Bolu is coming from. But Bolu, he who pays the piper dictates the tune. That's the show. In London, I'm Austin Okonakpan. In everything you do, remember, keep talking sports. Bye for now.
It's a wrap here in Lagos as well, but I want to thank Bolu Omoni for his time on the show today. Hopefully we'll do this again.
Yeah, it's always special coming around.
All right, so that's the show today. We do hope that you've enjoyed everything we've been able to bring to you. We leave you with the words of the Bayelsa State Governor, Doyediri, talking about the decisions taken with Bayelsa United.
Fortunately, at the end of this last football season, we now find ourselves back to the beginning of where we started. Sadly, our football club, Bayelsa United, has been relegated to, again, the second division of our country. I was making statements and appealing to players and the board to ensure that they do everything, coaches and everybody, that our club remains in the Premier Division with the kind of investment that we are carrying out in sports development, particularly against the background of investing into a 30,000 capacity world-class stadium. And today, I want to bring to pass what I said, and I told them when we had the Governor's Prosperity Cup, that it was not a threat. All I wanted them was to make sure that they do not go on relegation. But now that they have gone on relegation, Bayelsa United Club is hereby disbanded. Board has been disbanded. The coaches are hereby sacked. An interim body will be announced in the nearest future to reorganize Bayelsa United. And Bayelsa United will be reorganized. New coaches will come on board to ensure that in the next football season, we gain our promotion back to the Premier League.